Welcome to part 15 of the Basic Training Booster Pass Edition. Today we're going to cover everything you need to know to play Mushroom Gorge on 150cc. This is a really technical course with a lot of things that can go wrong for seemingly no reason, so let's jump in and figure out how to make it as consistent as possible, shall we? When we start the run, we're going to do a left hop into a right drift to grab the first coin. Build up a super mini turbo on the next turn and then build up a mini turbo on the bridge while grabbing the 3 coins. After that, we're going to start a left drift and trick off both the ramp and the mushroom bounce pad before getting up on the straightaway. After that, we're going to drive straight up this ramp and do a left drift off the orange boost ramp so that we can build up a mini turbo and do another super bounce off the next mushroom. Ideally, you want to land on the green mushroom so that you can trick off of it at the end. While you're on the green mushroom, pay attention to the coins in front of you because you want to make sure to grab 2 of them before going into the cave. After tricking off the green mushroom, we're going to start a wide left drift, making sure to grab all 3 coins on the inside of the turn, so that when we get to the orange boost ramp, we should have 9 coins in total already. After that, we're on to the main cave section. You know that saying that's often misattributed to Einstein about how the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Well, the rest of the lap from here on out is an exercise in figuring out whether you're actually going insane or if the course really is just that broken. Let's break it down. When going into the cave, you want to build up a super mini turbo and then do a left soft drift off the ramp so that you can do a super bounce off the first mushroom. If you hold too far of a left angle when going off the boost ramp, you'll still probably get the super bounce, but then you'll miss the green mushroom and fall into the gap to the left. Trick off both those green mushrooms, making sure to land on the next red mushroom in a right drift so that you can do another super bounce off the second red mushroom, and you'll jump clean over the third one to land back on the other side of the track. Neither of the super bounces are 100% necessary for this stuff to work. As long as you take the right hand path, you'll get to the second green mushroom regardless of whether or not you actually got the first super bounce. And as long as you have the coins, you can clear the third mushroom without the second super bounce at all. That being said, it will be a lot slower and a lot less safe. Now we want to clear the third mushroom so that we can get good alignment around the next turn, because what we're going to want to do is use a mushroom and jump over the large gap at the end of the lap, ideally getting enough height to clear the fence. After that, we're done with the lap, but everything we just talked about is a lot easier said than done, and every step bears a little bit more explanation, so let's break down those strats in a little bit more detail. I've got an entire video on how to do this shortcut properly that I'll link to at the top of the screen and in the description below. But here's a really quick rundown of the shortcut itself. After landing on the track and starting a left drift, wait until your trick boost runs out and then use your mushroom. You really want to be using it as early as possible here. Next, hang a hard left so that you're angled as parallel with the track on the other side of the gap as much as you can be. Step 3 is to do a jump with your joystick in a neutral position. This jump needs to be delayed pretty hard in the sense that you don't want to actually be jumping until you're like a handful of frames from falling off the course. If you did everything correctly, you'll get a ton of height and clear not only the gap, but the fence on the other side. There's an alternative method of doing the gap jump where you widen your drift a little bit before hanging a hard left. Then you just use your mushroom and do the delayed jump like normal and you'll land on the right hand side of the fence. Now the gap cut itself isn't particularly difficult, it's clearing the fence that's the major issue in my PB strats, so this slightly suboptimal version of the jump should be a lot easier to do. Now if all this is still really giving you problems, then what you can do is just drift around the turn and mushroom through the grass. Laps 2 and 3 play pretty much the same as lap 1, aside from the fact that we do a super bounce off the mushroom after the bridge. So let's talk a bit about some additional optimizations that the current world record uses. There's basically 3 of them. First, they build an extra mini turbo before the second mushroom bounce pad. The timing and positioning of this is really weird, and if you don't do it, it costs a ton of time. They also go a bit further to the right than I do when coming off that bounce pad, but it's not clear whether or not that's actually useful in and of itself, or if it's just a consequence of realigning themselves on the red mushroom. The second thing they do differently is with the first mushroom in the cave section. Rather than doing a right drift off the orange boost ramp like I do, they do a right hop into a left drift. I don't think this makes too much of a difference, but I thought I'd mention it just for completeness. The final major thing they do differently is that they do a no item shortcut on laps 2 and 3 by doing a mini turbo jump onto this mushroom, and then doing a super bounce off of the next mushroom before doing a super bounce on the mushroom after the bridge, just like we did in our PB. Now that's it for the strat, so let's talk a bit more about the track while checking out my current personal best. By the way, if this video has been helpful to you so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could click the like button so that it can get spread to more people looking to improve at the game. Now, Mushroom Gorge. I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely hate time trialing this track. and the only reason that I spent so much time on it now was to get this video out for you, since it does have one of the more difficult skips in the game. Believe it or not though, that skip is not why I have such disdain for this track. No, that would be because of the cave section just before it. This might be one of the worst designed sections of any track in the entire game, and it's not because of the super bounces, surprisingly enough. A good 75% of my runs were actually ruined by just those 2 green mushrooms in the cave. Let's see if I can fit all my ranting about these f***ers in before the run's actually over. Only the edges of those mushrooms are trickable, and the fact that the mushrooms are kind of curved means that if you drive off of them at the wrong spot or at the wrong angle, you straight up won't get the trick. Hell, even in this run you can see that on one of the laps I miss a trick on the first green mushroom, and I specifically go out of my way to shake trick to avoid this exact issue. Missing it on the first mushroom isn't that big of a deal, but if you miss it on the second mushroom, your run is over, because it basically means that you're guaranteed to bounce off the third mushroom, which not only is slow as all hell, but it also pretty much kills any chance of you getting good alignment for the fence jump. So you're basically forced to go for the suboptimal gap jump, which loses an additional half a second on top of the 2 or 3 seconds you already lost just from bouncing off the third mushroom. It's actually kind of unfortunate because if these were just normal, flat, trickable surfaces, this track would actually be a lot of fun to time trial. Oh well though, it is what it is. And that's everything you need to know to play Mushroom Gorge on 150cc. This is a fairly new track, so I'd definitely be interested in hearing how you're all enjoying it so far, and if you managed to get a faster time than I got at my personal best. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if so, again, please don't forget to click the like button before you go, as it really does help out the channel. Thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to do some basic training, and as always, I will see you in the next one.